all right. Good morning. Good morning. This is Andre Hill Jr.
And Anna Jones.
Oh man,
Oh, look at that. Our host came in.
Yes, all right. Y'all gonna
All right, so y'all gonna bear with us.
But again, as we transition, this is the Straight Talk Saturday morning show. Uno momento.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good morning, people. This is Straight Talk, and this is Andre Hill. I'm the senior, and the co-host, Tatiana. Good morning, Tatiana.
Good morning. What happens when you work 100 and something hours and think you won't be affected? But good morning, listeners. Good morning.
Yeah. So it's been one of those kind of weeks,
For both of us. So please charge it to our heads and not our hearts this morning.
Yeah, I've been kind of out of commission. I had a dentist pull half of my brains out, so I'm just now recuperating. But I am talking, so glad to be here. There was a couple of subjects that we intended to talk about, and so we get it.
Okay. What? Yeah, you said you was on codeine. Okay, y'all for real. Play us no mind this morning, okay? Straight talk, reality radio. Hey.
Yeah. So, I mentioned two things on the. I mentioned two things that I was concerned about, and I know you got the post.
Wait, hold on, because I want our Facebook followers to hear the message first. Is that okay?
Hey.
Okay, good. Okay.
Right.
So I had started typing before I fell asleep last night. I started typing what the show would, I do every week. I do this week's theme. And before I fell asleep last night and was typing the show schedule, this week's theme is perfection. And perfection is something that we all know doesn't exist, but it's something that we're always striving for daily, minute by minute, and second by second. So I came up with that theme, as I always do, just when it's something that comes to me. And I think that perfection is a great thing because it's going to get somebody's attention, because we know perfection doesn't exist. And because of that, I think that we all should look around daily and see what can we perfect. And whether it's something in our communities, whether it's something in our house, our jobs, within our relationships, I think that all of us every day should be looking for what can we perfect, although there's not perfection. But whatever idea of perfection we have, we should all be seeking that every day.
Well, absolutely. Well, I mean, perfection is something that we thrive or strive.
Even though we know it doesn't exist. Like, do we not? Because I know I have high expectations.
Well, I mean, but you have to set the goals. If you don't set the goal of acquiring perfection, then you'll fall short. So every day you have to look and evaluate, how you performed or what you got accomplished, and did you do your best? And so then you reflect back on your performance and say, well, I could have done better. Like, I still think that we have yet to do our best show. So every week, every week I'm looking at how can we improve the show, and so that's a sense of perfection. I'm working towards making it perfect, making it right. So.
Right, but even though you said we have yet to do our best show, that's what I'm talking about. We're still striving for perfection, even though we know that really it's not going to be a perfect show.
Right.
But close to it.
But I'm working on it. I also, too, like to remind people that about our sponsor. And also, if my mouth sounds like I'm dragging and I might bite my tongue.
He's high, y'all. He's high. No, I'm just playing.
And the codeine is taking effect. So don't forget Al's Soul Food. I talked about, the food is great. The decor, it is a beautiful restaurant. And, our culture is in trouble. So we need to do business with people in our community, people that's going to hire our people. So Number one, it's a nice place. You got beautiful artwork of all of the old soul singers from the 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s. And you got good food, and it's a beautiful place. So don't forget Al Soul Food at 2302 East 7th Avenue. That's on the east side of Ybor City, just past 22nd Street on the left-hand side going east. And they got nice parking space, and you will enjoy the food. And if you want to call in your order, 813-405-8920. All of the food is good. They're perfectionists, So check them out on 7th Avenue, right at the east side of Ybor City, the tourism attraction. Yeah. All right, so
let's get into today's topic. Today's topic for Straight Talk Saturday Morning Show is, well, my co-host. Go ahead.
All right, so I was watching this documentary, and the name of it was called Extreme Animal Weapons. And what it was basically explaining how matter, humans, animals, anything within the universe, how it mutates to its environment. And there were two particular animals, the cuttlefish and also the Jesus Christ bird. All right?
Is there such thing?
Yeah, well, it's a bird. They call it the Jesus Christ bird because this bird walks so delicately on leaves and lilies that
walk light.
You would think it's walking on water. Yeah, so that's why they nicknamed it the Jesus Christ bird. But the unique thing about the Jesus Christ bird is that the females have mutated, and so have the males because of its environment. Somehow or another, that particular bird was trapped in an environment where the female lays the eggs, and then she goes out and eat, and the male protects the egg, and so they refer to it as the babysitter. He's the ultimate babysitter, and so what has happened over thousands and thousands, or maybe hundreds of thousands of years, the male has mutated, and then the female, end up fighting over these male because they are homemakers. They're the ones that stay home and look after the eggs. And I thought that was very unique that somehow or another nature reversed the situation. And then I started thinking about the black community. And I started thinking about how black men, their environment is artificial because other cultures are somewhat, and I like to also always blame it on the parasite that has infected the human race. So in the black community, the culture has been affected through what we refer to as racism, but it's, one culture versus another culture. It's like in the book that I read, earlier, and it's going to come to mind when some of this coding wear off. It's a team. Racism is a team sport or cultural survival. And so the thing that happened in the black community is, because one particular culture was given a technological advance over the other, they were able to control the banking system, the police system, and so therefore the black men in our community, they've been suppressed and contained. Not all of them, but a large percentage of them. So they're starting to mutate because, in West Tampa, in a particular neighborhood, the culture has taken on that of the Jesus Christ bird, where the men are staying home with the children, playing dice, gambling, on the sidewalk, while the women go out, and they're getting public assistance, but they're going out and through the necessary programs, and making additional money for the family. So that's what is happening in our community. Have you ever noticed that?
Well, actually, you started out the post with, I'm always talking about how men are not the same as they used to be. Men are not real men anymore. They're not manly men. There was a certain aura that older men and that not older men, that men period gave off back in the day in the 60s and the 70s. Number one, they worked from sun up to sundown for their families to provide. Number two, they stood up for their community, and I don't mean just who was in their house, but their community as a whole. Their mothers, their sisters, anybody that had the same skin as them. And then number three, they were always looking for ways to make a better future for their families and for their communities. And that's what my example of what a real man is versus today. These men are so emotional and they are so whiny. That's what I say. I tell them that to their face. They're so whiny these days, and it's like, oh, you did this to me, and what? It's like, I can't take it. Those are not the men that I'm used to. I'm used to men, and I'm not saying that men don't have a right to be emotional or evolve emotionally, but what I am saying is that in the process of that, where you lose me, and I think a lot of the women in our community, is when you don't stand up and protect us, when you don't provide, when you act like it is a chore and a responsibility to do what you have been innately created to do. That's a problem for me.
So that's the issue, and this is what happens when your environment is infected or affected by an outside force, and so that's what's happening to the men. And we in the 50s, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. We had to work together. We had to work within our own community because of the Jim Crow laws, we were not able to eat or dine, wine and dine, or a lot of businesses did not, hire black men. So we were able to build an economy within our economy. And then when the parasite recognized that was going to be a problem, it initiated the other cultures to put more pressure on the black community so that because they were becoming independent and they were building their own economic engines, i.e., what was that? Man, it'll come to me. But I know Roswell was one. When we talk about this over and over again, and Oklahoma.
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street. So then, even after we acquired freedom and started building our own economy, then we were still under attack, by an outside force. So in the 60s and the 70s, we start transitioning out of that because the agenda changed, and so then that's when the men start mutating and start losing their manly value.
That does make sense. It does make sense. However, because Andre always says, like, in the metaphysical world, I was a queen, like, back in the day, and I used to be, like, off with their heads, in another life, and that's probably true. So I'm going to say this. Unfortunately, for me, that's not an excuse, and it's definitely not an excuse because all roles have been reversed, and that's for women and men, So with that being said, the things I was just telling my coworker yesterday before we go to break, that women, man, we go through all kind of stuff, rape, incest, all kind of stuff, and still keep pushing ahead like nothing has happened, taking care of our men and our children and our brothers. So I'm sorry, black men, that's no excuse for me. You got to come harder.
All right, so we're getting close to the break, and when we come back, I'm going to show how that leads into the cold-blooded murdering of this Facebook post that I got. 12 people sent me a copy of this murder of the policeman just pulling out his gun and killing this man while he was on the ground.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
But we'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in to Straight Talk Saturday Morning Show. We'll be right back.
Sampson. I didn't come from a very rich family, and so paying for college would have been very tough. I don't know if I would have been able to go to the college that I went to, and then I don't know if I would have gotten into the career that I am in. So I think Bright Futures has done a lot to shape my life. Got a job as a structural engineer, and I design residential buildings, commercial buildings all over the United States. Because of Bright Futures, I was able to go to college. You know, so many kids just don't even ever get that opportunity, and to be able to do it and not have any debt when I graduated is amazing, and it was all thanks to Bright Futures.
Florida has created
bring
more
you
than
in
1
after the
million
break.
jobs in only 5 years, and a great education connects our students to these exciting opportunities. That's why Florida Lottery has funded Bright Futures scholarships to help over
Yes.
725,000 students attend
Yeah, can
college.
you hold?
My name is Howard.
Because every place
Yeah,
is
yeah,
an
okay.
education.
Yeah, just hold for a
The Florida
second because
Lottery.
we're on
Just
break.
imagine.
Been in a car
Okay.
crash?
Just
Call
hold.
I
Ricky.
don't want to go
Don't
loud.
know what to do? Ask
Okay.
Ricky. We will connect you with a lawyer
Well,
and doctor experienced
I'm
in
calling
auto
from South
accident
Carolina, and
injuries. Call Ricky
my
at
sister-in-law sitting there at the
844-361-7425. After an auto accident,
about
you have
Ocala,
14
Florida, about
days
a
to seek
horse
medical
Yeah,
attention.
she's-
I was
You may
wondering,
be in
hold on.
pain. So call Ricky.
name is
Ask
Lori
Ricky for
Hudson.
your best
She just walked in.
844-361-7425.
Okay, so I'm on the right side. I just want
Ask
not
Ricky
to
is
fill
a
into
legal
that.
and medical
And I wanted
referral
to-
service. The lawyers
Okay,
in
thank
our
you very
network
much.
pay
Okay.
to receive referrals.
All right, thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I need you to I just you're all all nonchalant. I'm trying to go a little bit on it. And I know me. That's why I bring.
Okay, so we're back. We're back from the break. So, Tatiana, there's an underlining agenda here, and while I'm talking about, you know, the mutations from nature, because, you know, the parasite that we talk about, and you know, and we talked about this on the ride in. You know, we're getting away from blaming one particular race as the culprit. Because, you know,
I'm so proud of you.
Well, Stephen is there helping us out this morning, and he has a half afro, and you know, he's a brother from another mother kind of thing going on.
Stephen, hold
But-
on.
You know, so here, you know, the parasite is a highly intelligent entity that was hired by our creator to test us. You know, and so these are some of the tactics that we as a species have to overcome, and that's why, you know, I was explaining the correlation between nature and the human experiment. And so, you know, I was telling you about the Jesus Christ bird, and also there is a cuttlefish, and here's what happens when they mute with this particular environment. In the cuttlefish environment in the ocean, there are the bigger male cuttlefish, but there are smaller male cuttlefish that can't compete with the male for females. So what it does is mimic females, and it sneaks in within the confounds of the bigger, stronger male cuttlefish, pretending this is a female. And then when the cuttlefish turns his head, he goes and mates with the other females. You know, that's a mutation.
Wait. What?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I thought that would wake you up.
Yeah.
You know, so
Everybody knows.
so in a way, that's going on in our environment. You know, like in the movie industry, you know, you got one group always want black men to wear dresses. You know, and
It's true now.
And-
For real, that is true.
yeah,
Because that is called the feminization of the black man.
Right.
Making black men, not making, but portraying it. Because let's be honest, anything that you see visually, it almost becomes your reality because it's a perception. It's what you see. So they know that these images that they're putting out there, those are sticking in our children's heads. So they know what they're doing.
right. So, you know, the underlining theme here is that the parasite manipulates human beings, all of us, to work against each other and give advantages to one small group, that distorts or destroy the family structure based on our heterosexual design. So now what the parasite is doing is not giving the real truth behind how the universe works and all the variations in the sexes and what have you. And so now we're dealing with that in our community, and now the parasite is using other abnormalities, to affect the black community. And so this is what the black man is up against, and this is why we are creating or preparing for a paradigm shift and understanding how the aboriginals, the original humans on this planet, are going to reclaim this planet. But you have to recognize that your foe is an entity that's manipulating and using you to work against each other. Now, I've noticed that there, some Caucasian males, they don't want to be pimped like that by the parasite anymore. They don't want to employ tactics of racism. They're getting away from it. A lot of them just say, "Hey, I turn into a hippie and just withdrawing from this racist agenda." But there are still those that are still caught up in it. So how do we deal with that in our community? How do we fight that sort of movement? And we have to recognize the root of the problem and in the tactics of that parasite. Tatiana.
Okay, so I think that, like you always talk about every week, that you should invite our brothers, because this is a great segue into inviting our black men to your weekly meetings, because sometimes, and I know some personally myself, some young black men, they need a guide. And most men, you're a man, I'm sure you can attest to this. If you're a real man, you really are not going to ask for another man to show you how to be a man, because that's just kind of not how it goes. But I think that we have to start going out into our communities and asking our young men, what is wrong? What do you need? And inviting them to show them how we can inviting them to see the blueprint of how a man should act and how they should govern themselves.
That's what we do on Wednesday nights at 1240 Ray Charles Boulevard, 7 p.m. Brothers and sisters come out, hang out with us. We're working on a plan. There's a serious movement here in Tampa by outside entities. The parasite is manipulating even our own people, against us, to create and prevent us from developing an economic engine. And that's what's required in the black community. Over and over, we encourage our people to do business with our people, to go out and spend your dollar with black businesses. And, and if they're not performing, don't just sit back and talk about them. Go and tell the manager, tell the owner, say, look, I want to do business with you. I want to spend my money with you, but you can't be showing up late, or you can't be overcharging me for this product or service, or, whatever the problem is, instead of just, letting it slide and just going back and say, I know I can't do business with my people. This is no longer an option. This is mandatory. This is by creating this economic engine within our community. That gives us power and authority to go to the police forces and let them know that we do not want these cowboy outside policemen coming into our neighborhoods with guns, killing our people. We're gonna police our own people with our own people. And that, with an economic engine, you can do that. If you're still relying on other cultures to supply you with food, services, and all the necessities of life to sustain yourself, then you're never going to have the economic power to vote to mandate or dictate to the establishment or the parasite, how you want things to go in your community.
So you talked about the video in the police brutality?
Yeah, that last video, it was horrendous.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that really quick. Excuse me, before we introduce our special guest. Let's just talk about the video that was circling, because you brought it up before the break.
Right.
So let's go ahead for our Facebook viewers. And, what was it, really, let's be real, it's nothing that we haven't seen before at this point. You know.
Well, this particular video,
what caught your attention?
It was horrible. You know, the way
All of it is.
it was.
Tell me something more.
It was just these two large policemen, standing about 6'2", 6'4", 250 pounds, and this small black man on the ground. They had him, he was still fighting and resisting, but it was a situation where he just pulled his gun out. They had control of this man.
Wait, what he did? What?
He just pulled his gun out while he was down.
Pulled his gun out
and fired into him 3 times.
Oh, you talking about the police officer? You like he just pulled his gun? I'm like, no.
Yeah, no.
He got to say the news reports accurately. So the police officer.
Right.
Okay.
And so the reason I brought it up, and I wanted people to call in and tell me about it, because I had about
813-444-9588 to our viewers and our listeners. Make sure that you call in and give us some feedback.
So there were at least 10 of my Facebook friends that forwarded this video to me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so they're going like, what the hell? Well, that's not what they said. But, I mean.
Daryl would kill us, so don't say any profanity.
Yeah, I mean, people are getting to a point, and there are 2 things that we need to do. Number 1 is, again, start building our own economic engine so we can have an effect on these politicians, because our businesses are going to support our movement to control our community.
I agree with that, yes.
And the other thing is then we can also mandate that what type of policeman we want in our community. And so that's those are the 2 things that we really need to concentrate on. But, if another thing that we need to pay attention to, this parasite, just by the mere fact that we've been talking about it on this show, this parasite recognized that its game is being exposed. So we got to be really careful that this is a provocation for what you call martial law. If enough of this keeps happening, people are going to start having riots, race riots, and moving in the direction of retaliating.
That. Yeah, I mean, maybe they will eventually, but
so and I think that we have 2 options. We can either retaliate, force on force, or we can fight smart by developing our own economies, approaching our elected officials and letting them know that, okay, these are the people, we don't want these policemen coming into our community. We know that they have racist intents and they're working for a racist agenda, and go to the police chief, go to the mayor, and say, get these people, send these people right out, in those communities where they're being represented by their own people.
Okay, and I think that's a great segue into introducing our guests before we go on break, and then when we come back. So this morning we have Miss Lori Hobson on, and the reason why I say this is a great segue, because we also have to begin to find other out-of-the-box opportunities that we may have not normally been exposed to. And so Miss Lori here this morning is going to talk to us about so many different things. I mean, she is one of the first Black horse, I'm not going to say breeders.
Thank you.
But what's the word that we can?
So, thoroughbred training center owners. I'm sorry. So
speaking to the mic.
Yeah.
Okay, so she is one of the first Black thoroughbred trainers. So basically what she does is she buys and trains horses and gets them ready to race in a lot of these big races you see on TV. And everybody knows we don't see Black people doing that. So that is out of the box. And that's what I think we should do, is start exploring other opportunities and going down other avenues we may not have thought about before. So I'm so excited. This is a calling guest. We know it's for Lori though, okay? But we love the support. They're going to have to hold for a moment because we're about to go to break. And you can answer really quick before we go to break. They hung up. I want you to.
Well,
it's okay.
Yeah.
Hello? Caller? No? You picked up?
Okay.
Okay, that's all right.
So, Lori, I put your business all out on my Facebook page. This is what I posted this morning. That I witnessed this Black woman sell a horse for $60,000, and I posted it on my Facebook. And so, and I said that Lori was going to break it down to people how this all came about. So.
Okay.
So. Hey,
Alrighty.
hey, this is straight talk, baby. we getting to the meat of things, and that's why all of our listeners are tuning in. They say, hey, was this sister? She put a horse out on the market, and it's selling like that. Yeah, man. So I saw it happen.
Alrighty,
Yeah.
so we're gonna get ready to go to break, and thank you all for tuning in. And please make sure to tune back in after the break to Straight Talk Saturday Morning Show, the show where you never know what you're going to get, but you will always leave with the solution. We'll be right back.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
Hi, I'm Donald L. Dowers Jr., your motivational guru. This is the DLD Motivational Moment. One darn second. America, since 2017, is suffering from a serious hiccup. 9/11 is seriously overused in a distasteful manner. Every day the cops are calling on an innocent person of color. It amazes me that America has come down to this. A person of color becomes a person of interest. Waffle House, the dorm, Starbucks is a few. This is not the lunch counters, sit-ins of the 1960s. 2019, harassed simply for being black and proud. Hold on one darn second. This has been the DLD Motivational Moment. Pre-order my new book, Motivational Moments, at DLD282002 at yahoo.com or 813-394-5875.
Hey, this is Miss K with K's Kitchen, where we're cooking Chicago-style fried chicken and fish with the authentic Chicago-style mouth sauce. Come check us out at our new restaurant located at 3320 East Osborne Avenue in the Jackson Heights area. We have a brand new menu which includes whole wings, catfish, pizza puffs, and much more. Call us at 813-368-5196. Again, that number is 813-368-5196. See you soon.
Hello, welcome back to Straight Talk Saturday Morning Show. And we are going to pick up where we left off with the introduction of our special guest this week. And we have Miss Lori Hobson. She doesn't only just train and buy horses and sell horses for $60,000. She also does a lot more. So first, what we want to talk about, Lori, is give our viewers and our listeners some of the background between Falcon and how you got started in this business. I know we talked about just briefly your husband, and let's just get a brief synopsis and let our viewers know how this came to be, and then we'll go into some of the other things that you and I discussed that you offer and that you do.
Okay. So, my husband, Lawrence Hobson, he had a dream to...
Like Martin.
Yeah. Yes, like Martin. To get back into the horse industry. He grew up in...
I was like, yeah, when you said get back, so he was already in the horse industry.
No, we as a culture were in the industry.
Okay, I like how you said that. I just want to pause, and the reason why is because I saw the most interesting, it was on MSNBC online, and they were talking about black cowboys and black cowgirls, and you don't even know that, but there were black cowboys and black cowgirls. So we're talking about horses, but
Right.
Go ahead.
Right, so like in the thoroughbred industry, if you look back at the Kentucky Derby at the end of the 1800s and the beginning of the 1900s, we dominated the track. If you look at those races, most of the jockeys were us. They were all us. Man of War, one of the most famous horses out there. They always give tribute to his trainer, who was Caucasian or European, but his handler, the one who actually did the work with him, he was a black man. You know, so when I say Lawrence was trying to get back, he was trying to get us back into the industry.
Okay, now I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, so then, first of all, when I say Falcon, let our listeners and our viewers know, what Falcon is. Talk about your ranch and things like that.
So Falcon we started out with Falcon L&L Stables, and that's the training center where we train and
So I see why you were impressed, Andre. I'm like,
yeah, got a little bit of stuff going, but it's where we train and board horses. We also created Falcon L&L Transportation, and that's to transport our horses. And it started out with just ours, and then we moved on to everybody else.
So other people wanted you all or hired you to transport their horses?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That was an easy come up right there, boy. I like it.
Yeah, so, it's just we keep what Falcon does is we find things within the industry that we can do ourselves that provide opportunities for our folks to come in. So we've got a transportation company. Now I can hire us as drivers and handlers as they get trained. We have a stables. We can hire people to come in to help take care of the horses, to maintenance the grounds, to learn about the industry, to learn to be trainers.
Okay. And tell me, because we're talking about coming into the stables and learning these tools and skills, who would that benefit? Because on here, some of the things we're talking about post-conviction, people with felonies are Black men. There are other opportunities out there for you, even if you don't know about them. Now, I will say this, all of them are not always accessible.
Right.
And so this is why we have to build a network that is accessible to our Black men and women so that we can learn these things. So if you would, let's talk about the software that you're creating. I really was going to save that for the end of the show, but actually let's back up. We talked about the jobs and opportunity. Let's talk about horse ownership and partnership.
That's where the 60,000.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about the money.
Okay, so let's talk about the money. It's fun.
Isn't that what people with money always say? It's fun.
It's fun, but it's not even really about the money. So
No, I know.
The goal of Falcon, what we're trying to do is allow our culture, who we tend to be a little resistant to investing in things that may or may not be.
It's very true.
It's a little more risky. So
Very true.
we allow you the opportunity to do a very small investment up front.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, you come in with $5,000 so for instance, the horse that
Andre, you bought a horse and you didn't tell me?
No, that he was talking about. The horse that he was talking about. Falcon itself made a small investment in buying it. Okay, so we pay for it up front. We pay like $1,500
For a horse?
For a horse.
What? Get your income tax? Go buy your horse.
Well, it's a little more than that. That's
Right.
just getting it. But what we did was we allow investors, open up the opportunities for investors to come in and do a small investment. So from starting out at $5,000.
Okay.
Which, when you look at the returns, because the
yes.
horse that, and I don't mean to correct you. But the horse that, let me correct you. Let's get the numbers right. The horse that he's talking about, our big win, we actually sold for $160,000.
6 figures.
Yeah, all day long. Now, is that my normal? No, that's my exception. But every horse that we purchased
is an opportunity to make.
It's an opportunity, and we made money. So on a $1,000 investment, a $1,500 investment, the least horse, the least one I sold was $10,000. That's still a heck of a return, even after your expenses. On average, we're selling horses from $30,000 to $80,000 off of a $5,000 investment. Where else can you get that type of return on your money and have fun with it?
Right.
Okay?
I'm sure that must be fun.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me what's fun about it, because I want to hear the fun.
So the whole thing of dealing with horses themselves, even if you're not a horse person. Even
what was that?
That was me too. Talking to my buddy over here. But no, but even if you're not a horse person, right? Everybody likes
okay
to go
with
to
Andre?
I'm good.
I know you're groovy.
Everybody likes to go to the races. Everybody likes to
Kentucky
see the
Derby and the
Kentucky
beautiful hats,
Derby.
but it's deeper
Right.
than that.
It is. It's
And you know what? That's something to think about, because Black people have increasingly, I'm going to the Kentucky Derby. You know, they're attending more and more every year.
Right.
So we can buy all these fancy hats and go attend and look at some horses. I'm gonna need y'all to buy one and invest, or
Right.
show somebody else how to reach one, teach one.
There you
Right.
go. There you go. So, and that's what it's the fun of being there. It's the fun of going to the races.
The excitement of
it
buying
is-
a horse and
right.
training it, and then
Oh, absolutely. And then and even at the auctions and at the sales, and you're there, it is so exciting. Was it not exciting?
It was mind blowing, you know, and the personalities of the horse. You know, you walk up to them, they look at you, and if they like you, they just if they don't, they will bite you.
Yes.
Did you get bit?
Nope,
I
'cause
did.
I kept my distance.
Yeah, I've been bit by a bad horse, and then I've been bit by playful horses. It's a totally different experience. But yeah.
Wow. Does it hurt?
Does it hurt? Let me see your hand. You talk about a 1,200-pound animal whose whole
What
thing.
damage did it do?
Just bruising. It's just bruising.
So it was like a gnawing.
No, it was a bite.
I keep on trying to downplay your bite. Okay,
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
not gonna downplay it. It was a bite. You know, I had a football-sized bruise on my
wow.
right here where the one got me there. But no, he was
Okay.
he was just playing.
Oh wow.
He was just playing. But no, horses are great. They're therapeutic. There's lots of opportunities for, health and healing. There's opportunities for jobs, for training, for just a completely different view on life that our culture doesn't tend to have, especially ours that are in the urban environments, in the cities. I've never went swimming. Okay, but have you touched a horse? I saw one at the zoo. Here's something different for them to get into.
So I can't help it. It must be, I really am a born humanitarian, because I hear what you're saying, but because I'm for the people, I can't help it. We don't have those opportunities in our urban areas because they aren't brought to us.
Right.
That's what the hood, that's what the ghetto is about, is a lack of opportunity, so that it may breed upon itself and then institute violence and the murders the senseless murders that we see.
Right.
So on behalf of the community, we need Falcon, to come into those urban communities. And what happened? Okay. So yes, we need people like yourself and your industry and your stable to come into these communities. And honestly, that would be, here I go putting my ideas out into the universe, but that would be a great summer program for some urban youth. So let's talk about, that would be great.
So that's actually one of the things that we had in mind.
What's the First Chance program? Is that something that is something centered towards that?
So the First Chance program is actually focused on our first-time offenders, nonviolent, those people that are in jail that, they did something wrong, but should they have gone to jail? I wish the gentleman shoplifting at the grocery store to feed his family goes to jail for 5 years. Why? I mean, it's a probation or, a couple of months, but 5 years, well, now he's a felon, he can't get a job. That's what our First Chance program is about, because they never had a first chance. This is their opportunity to get into an
industry
that
can last them a lifetime.
That can last them a
and
lifetime,
change their
that's
life.
profitable, and for them too.
Right. So I just...
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
There.
Well, maybe. That's our job to say yes. I'm sorry.
No, thank you, Lori. Somebody knows my position. Somebody knows my place in here. Go ahead, Daryl.
Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Straight Talk.
Thank you.
I just want to ask about the investment process. $1,500. How long does it take to get a return?
So we bought those horses in November of 2017, and she sold in June of 2019, which is actually a longer span. We have multiple structures or strategies. So you can buy a weanling, which is a baby, and those sell them as a yearling, which is like about a 9-month turnaround. You can go to a 2-year-old sale, which is giving you that 18-month, or you can put them on a track, which goes 2 to 3 years. So it just depends on the strategy that you're looking at.
And the normal return on your investment is about what percent?
Probably about, I would say the average is closer to about 30 to 40%. So you give me a check for $5,000, I'm gonna give you a check back for 7,000. So that's normal, and that's still, where else are you gonna do that?
And don't go buy a horse there, okay? 'Cause
No.
we need you here. Okay? I don't need you galloping off into the sunset yet.
3 horses.
3 horses. I got you. Actually, this is a good time because we're going into purchase season right now. This year we're going to do a little bit different, and we're not just going to do the weanlings, but we're going to do the yearlings or the 1-year-olds as well, which is a even shorter time because they'll be bought between now and October, and they'll start selling in March and go March to July.
Okay. You have another question?
I had a chance to meet some of her staff, and they are experienced people. They understand the nature of the game, and I'm just looking forward. And where
Hold
you
on
have
1 second. We got to go to break. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We'll be right back.
All right.
Hold that thought. I apologize. We'll be right back. Straight Talk Saturday Morning Show.
Hi, this is Dr. Veronica Walters, also known as Dr. V, the head of school at the Walters Academy for Entrepreneurship, a place that we like to call The Way, where we're educating today's youthpreneurs to be tomorrow's billionaires through social entrepreneurship. Do you have a student who's bored, frustrated, gifted, inquisitive, creative, business-minded? Then maybe you need to check The Way out. Listen, we have an educational platform that allows for individualized instruction. It's strength-based, project-based, and designed to help your student become the absolute best they can while starting their own business and being an entrepreneur. If you're looking for something different and you need to find a more excellent way, then you need to visit us at The Way. That's The Way, www.thewaetampa.org. Or you can call us at 813-603-7923. We look forward to showing your student a more excellent way at The Way.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecues? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Thank you. Okay, welcome back to Straight Talk Saturday Morning Show. We have our special guest, Miss Lori Hobson, one of the first black buyers, horse buyers. And we're going to finish talking about the horse buying process because I was asking Lori on the break, for those of you who are not on our Facebook page, if you bought a horse, where would your horse be kept if you don't have the land? So, Lori, just tell our listeners and our viewers, if they buy a horse, basically you take care of the whole process, right? And they can house their horse on your lot and not in their backyard like I was planning.
Yeah, no, we can't. We're not going to put it out here on 40th and 50th. No, I think that, Hillsborough would have a little problem with that.
Right.
But no, you bring it, if you buy a horse as an investment to pinhook it is what we're calling it.
Okay.
If you buy that, we keep the horse for you. We take
awesome.
care of it. We cover all the expenses out of your initial investment for the first 9 months. After that, whatever percentage you're in that horse, you're responsible for those. You have the option to pay it then, or you have the option of taking it out of your proceeds.
Okay.
So, but we house them. If you happen to be an animal lover and you want to buy a horse and you live in the city and you just need a place to board it, you can drop it off at our place. You can come and take care of it yourself, or you can pay us to take care of it. It's your choice. But it's open to you whenever you want to stop by and see it or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so the question I was getting at, in terms, I had a chance to meet her staff, and they are good at what they do because I saw the horses go up for auction, and they were sold at $160,000.
So that's why they were good at what they do.
Right. So this is where you have a situation where the CEO is a black woman, and for those people that want to get in the game, you don't have to worry about discrimination. You can just come in with a good heart, wanting to participate and get a chance to get the opportunity. If somebody want to become a horse trainer and volunteer, can they come to your farm and work alongside your people?
So yes and no.
Yeah, because I know we talked about your interns that you have.
Right. Yeah. So if there was someone interested in coming into the industry and learning, yes, we can get them in. And get them alongside, but it's a process. You don't get to walk in and start working with the trainer. Because the trainer's going to get on that's like walking in to an operating room and you've never been to medical school.
And telling the surgeon, scoot over.
Right. No, you come and you have to learn the basics. So you come in, in the barns, helping out in the barns, which gives you exposure and comfort around the horses, because 1,200 pounds can be a little intimidating. And if you're intimidated, they know it.
It's like a dog. They
right,
can sense fear.
They can sense the fear. So you have to get comfortable. So you start out, we could bring you in, you start out, working in the barns and then becoming a groom and just work your way to the point where you can become that trainer.
I like that because you do have here about sponsoring individuals.
Yes.
So I'd like to be one of the ones sponsored on it.
Come on.
And then also, because we also talked about this too, as far as social media and marketing, and our production team member Anna was saying we want to make sure that we get your contact information because, I don't know if you want to just give your number out. That's why I was trying to figure out how to segue because, the contact information. But this is what I will say. If you all are interested, not to make us the go-between, but technically we can be because...
Well, they can email me.
Okay,
my email is Lori H, so it's LORIH, at Falcon, F as in Frank, S as in Sam, Ocala.com. So that's FALCON, FSOCALA.com.
And also for our listeners and our viewers, we will make sure to put your email address where they can contact you on our Facebook page.
Okay.
So for anybody that's interested, we'll make sure to put that on the Facebook page. And I do appreciate you providing that information. And side note, you're doing so good.
Thank you.
and shout out to our production team because they definitely come through always, every week, every Saturday. So shout out to Anna and Andre Jr. I just want to say thank you all. I know I get on your nerves, Anna, but thank you.
So with the little time that we have left, so what? She also is a coder, computer. You write programs.
Well, that's where it all started from because you said that's how you created the program that you did was from your technical background, right?
Right. So coming into the industry, there was a need for me, because I don't like 50 different things. I want, one-stop shop. I wrote a program, and I went out and found a young black, very intelligent developer, and he and I have partnered to write this equine management software, which goes live on the 19th. So, but the other thing we've done is we went into the schools and we recruited minority technicians to provide internships to. So right now we have two interns. Those are the two interns. And our process is you come in, you intern, you figure out if this is what you want to do. It's initially unpaid. We flip it to a paid internship. And then you get the opportunity, you get the first grab at the job that's coming up. So we have one that's fast tracking to become an employee and one that needs to go back to school for a little bit, but that's part of what we're doing. We're not just coming in and say, go get my coffee. We're saying come in, be an internship and work, learn your craft. If you need additional help, we'll help you with your social graces and your soft skills because most technicians have no soft skills.
Most people don't. Including quoting myself.
But technicians are even worse. They're, oh my gosh.
And let's talk about the name of the software, because now that and we did really good because we talked about almost everything in our bullet point.
Right, we did.
And so tell the listeners and our viewers about the name of the software so they, Well, we'll put this on our Facebook page as well.
Okay, the name of the company is OVIZ, O-V-I-Z.
Okay.
And the software that we have out there right now is Equine DAOP, which is short for Equestrian Daily Operations. So that's what that one is. And the second one that you'll see out there that's coming up is Gallop and Breeze, which is a training program. So we're continually...
A training horses program?
Training the horses. It's a way to track the progress of a horse in training.
Okay. Like it. But yeah, we'll put this information up on our Facebook page, and I'm excited. I'm excited to become a sponsor.
I'm looking forward to it. I really appreciate you guys having us on here. We're the best kept secret.
Yes,
in the best
absolutely.
In the
we
best
have a caller.
it's
okay, but we only got 3 minutes.
Okay. I'll answer fast.
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Listen, I just like to comment on the program you got going on. It's a very good program. And Ms. Lori Hobson, you're doing a great job down there. This is your brother-in-law from South Carolina, and we love you up here. So continue what you're doing. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Eldridge. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you for calling in.
Absolutely. So, this is what we do on Straight Talk. And, Lori, we're going to have you back because we want to keep up, keep tabs on the progress. I'm going to attend another auction. The auctions are exciting in themselves. You get a chance to see all of these beautiful beasts, being paraded and their personalities when they're showing up. So it was an amazing experience for me. Yeah.
If anybody's interested in attending an auction or viewing an auction, on our transportation site, which is FLLST.com, if you go to events, 2019 events, there's a list in there of all of the auctions that are coming up this year with their addresses. Okay,
and so that's just about wrapping up our show. Don't forget Al Soul Food at 2302 East 7th Avenue. We got to support these restaurants. We want to keep these black businesses packed, because this is the way we're going to stop people from invading our neighborhood, killing our children. We need our own economic engine in place, and the only way you're going to do that is recirculate that dollar, spend money with our folks. And so stop by Al Soul Food when we're going to have other businesses that we're going to list, so that anytime you spend your money, you're going to spend it in your community first. It should almost be a sin. You got to put this in your mind. If you spend your money outside the community, it should be a sin until we get this paradigm shift in place, because our businesses are going to be the heartbeat and the soul of our resurrection as a people on this planet.
Alrighty. Huh? So don't forget, this week's theme is perfection, and although nothing and no one is perfect, we should always be striving for it every day. And thank you all to our listeners, our viewers, Lori's supporters that called in. Lori, thank you so much for coming way from Ocala and taking time out of your day. And thank you again for tuning in to Straight Talk Saturday morning show, the show where you never know what you're going to get, but you will always leave with the solution. Take care, and we'll see you next Saturday, 9 a.m.